Welcome to the video for Safari Free Classification of Animals. The lesson objectives for this lesson are to state the names of the 5 vertebrate groups, describe the features of the 5 vertebrate groups, and explain why some animals are difficult to classify. So before we talk about the different groups of the vertebrates, we need to talk about what vertebrates and invertebrates are. Animals can be split into these two categories. So vertebrates are animals that have got backbones, like we have our spine, and invertebrates are animals that don't have a backbone, so something like a jellyfish. Now the vertebrates themselves can be split up into 5 different groups, and these 5 groups are amphibians, birds, mammals, fish, and reptiles, and each of these 5 groups have got different characteristics that you need to know. So let's go to our first group, which is amphibians. So amphibians, for example frogs or toads, they have moist skin, so their skin has got moisture on them. They lay their eggs in water, so when they reproduce their eggs are laid in water, and the larvae, which is the young of their species, have gills like fish do, and they live in water. But then the adults have then got lungs and live on land. So over their life cycle, the eggs are laid in water, they develop into larvae which have gills and live in water, and then once they become adults, they develop lungs and they then live on the land. The second group that you need to know about are birds. Now birds have feathers, wings, and a beak, and they lay eggs with hard shells. Most birds can fly, but not all. So for example, penguins and ostriches are definitely birds, but they can't fly. The third group you need to know about are mammals. And mammals have body hair or fur, and they have mammary glands that produce milk to feed the young. So they give birth to live young, and then they produce milk to feed them. So the example here is a dog, and humans are also examples of mammals. Next group you need to know about are fish. Now fish live in water. They use gills to get oxygen from water, so they don't have lungs like we do. They have gills, and that's how they get the oxygen that their body needs. And they also have scales covering their body. Now the last group you need to know about are reptiles. And they have dry, scaly skins, and they also lay eggs, which have a hard shell. So for example, this chameleon is a reptile. So they're the 5 groups, but there are some animals that are difficult to classify. So here's a picture of the duck-billed platypus, which is actually a mammal. However, it has various features which you wouldn't expect from a mammal. So I've put in bold here, I've put the features of the duck-billed platypus, and in bold I've put the ones that don't fit with mammals. So the first one is they lay eggs. So the duck-billed platypus lays eggs. So when they reproduce, they lay eggs, which is not normal for a mammal. They live mainly in water. They feed their young on milk, so they do have mammary glands that feed their young, just like mammals. They have fur and are warm-blooded, like mammals. But they also have a beak. As you can tell from the name and the picture of the duck-billed platypus, they have a beak, which is normally what you'd expect from a bird. However, they do have fur and warm-blooded. The males also have a venomous spike on their hind legs, which is unusual for mammals. So the duck-billed platypus, when it was discovered, there was a lot of discussion around how we could classify the duck-billed platypus. And now we call it a mammal. So that's the group it belongs in. But it does have these unusual features. So there are animals that don't easily fit into these classifications with the characteristics that I've just described. So back to the lesson objectives, which were to state the names of the 5 vertebrate groups, describe the features of the 5 vertebrate groups, and explain why some animals are difficult to classify. Hopefully you can do this now. If you can't, rewatch the video or have a look on the internet or in a book to try and get some more information.